Ending the
Oops.
we are here.
Good morning. Here we are, this week's topic. And we are sort of playing with this because Rodine came up with a great idea, and we're not quite sure if it's down those lines of giving it a sort of a label called toxic positivity or not. But it is basically how we thought of worked out that it's how do we express our emotions in art? Is it scary, those intense ones?
Yeah, the intense ones.
Those intense ones.
Often, of course, and well, those intense ones that are a little more on the negative side, perceived negative side of life, right? Like anger, frustration, deep grief, right? When we think of art and healing, we always think of the, happy, beautiful, calm scenes, right? But how, like, what if that's just not where you're at, and that's just not really what you feel like expressing in that moment? Is it easy or is it difficult for you to put those big, deep negative emotions on canvas? And if so, why do we stumble with that?
Yes. And I'm wondering, so again, anyone watching, give us your comments. See, for me, in the past, if I couldn't express it with words, I found I couldn't express it with art because the block was similar for me.
Okay.
Whereas I'm wondering if others have the opposite, they can express it in their art versus through words in their life. So it'd be interesting to hear, what have you found that yourself?
Oh, I have found that there have been times where I really, really wanted to actually just let loose on a canvas.
Yeah.
And held back because it felt, how to explain this? It's really quite complicated.
Yes.
You'd think it would be very straightforward, but to think about, what stopped me was putting all of that negative energy onto a canvas. Scared me because I thought, oh my, but if it goes to that, what you think about, you create, right? And I thought, if you have that much negative energy going into a piece of art, are you giving birth to more negative?
Yes.
Right? Because you're solidifying it in a piece of art. And so I was like, well, I don't know that I want to do that. Like, who the heck wants to, birth that? So I've never tried it.
And I think for me, that's a really great one of toxic positivity, or that law of attraction. What you give out, you'll get back. So to me, it is bordering on that, because like you said, it would be holding that rather than seeing it. It's an expression of where you're at. It's getting it out of your system onto paper. And the thing is, you can always burn the art, or you could always bury it, or you could honor it, or but again, I think we've been so taught how to, again, nice girls don't feel that. Any gentlemen, men watching, or please, come in on this conversation, because I know, you don't express those feelings. So I know I've been doing a couple of online courses, and one woman was really interesting. She said, right, get a big piece of paper, divvy it up into whatever, how you want to do it, squares or whatever, and put the different emotions there: joy, laughter, anger, tiredness, and then just scribble whatever comes up for you. I couldn't even do that with the angry stuff. So like you, I still held myself back. I didn't know.
right?
And again, part of it's perfection, part of it is, oh, I don't know if I want to see what that looks like. Is it too
Yeah. Or
confrontational?
I don't want other people to see what that looks like.
That's exactly right. So, all these things come into play. So how do we translate that? Is it the chicken and the egg? Do you do your art to express how you feel in real life, or the other way around? I'm finding for me now, it's both. Sort of there's a harmony happening. But I also find it interesting because even though I've never felt calmer in my life, I still find I'm doing this. I did this on the weekend. I'm going to paint over it. So even though my mind's calmer and I'm well out of the trauma and all the busyness of my mind and negativity, I still find, look at this, Rodine, how it's still busy, but I
Oh,
don't feel it's negative, but it's busy.
yeah.
And I'm still finding it hard to just have blocks of color. So again, do I need to make anything out of it or not? Is there a message in there or not? I don't know. And does it really matter?
Yeah.
Am I going to attract that busyness in my life? I mean, we're taking it to an extreme here, but I think because maybe,
Maybe.
but sometimes we need to talk about this to come back. And as people who do know me or don't know me or have been on my YouTube channel with spiritual bypassing, I did that for a while. Well, I did it, so I'm calling it that. And I didn't realize I was for a few years because I didn't realize I'd got caught up in that love and light. Now, some people, that was all I had. I was so out of my body, even though I was meditating and doing all that, because I had too much pain still and couldn't understand why after all that time I had. So I literally bypassed my body, and
Yeah.
when that was pointed out to me, I got angry at first because again, it was like you become, you don't want to admit that, something was pointed out to me, and I came back down to earth with a massive thud, but that was also the
Mhm.
change. Then deep healing really happened. It's like, okay, I
Right.
can be spiritual, but I don't need to bypass these feelings of pain, hurt, anger, jealousy, shame, whatever else.
Well, yeah.
So, and it's okay to express them.
And it's also, I mean, as we're talking, it makes total sense. And it's so logical because, yes, you can express yourself in that way, however that looks for you in that moment. And it doesn't have to mean anything except it's an expression of how you're feeling,
Yes, that's right.
right?
Yes.
Instead of it being some monumental something that's going to impact your timeline for the next 50 years.
I know. And I can laugh now, but I got caught up in that because when you go through trauma, you lose that discernment, discrimination. You lose, like for me, I went back into that childhood, listened to authority. And I did, because I was already in fear and I didn't feel safe, I got caught up in, oh my God, if I think a negative thought, I will be blah, 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 or I won't
Yeah.
attract the clients I want or the money I want or whatever it might be. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. When I look back, I was exhausted, you
It
know?
is exhausting, isn't it?
Mm,
I mean, there's that. So then there's that fine line between being aware of your thoughts and, working through them to change an outcome, right? Or to release an old pattern or whatever. Shoot, and I just lost the second part of that. So there's that difference between that and then, yeah, creating, right? Like
yes.
creating more. And I like
Yes.
that you said, yeah, if you did do something like that, you could burn the canvas,
Yes. Yes.
right? I mean, there are so many ways that you could release that canvas, disconnect it from you emotionally or from your
Yeah.
emotional state,
Yeah.
right? And to kind of neutralize its impact.
It is. And I think, again, as we're talking, and do you have to? Do we have to? You just expressed how you're feeling. So, again, I think
Yeah.
Able to come back to do what's right for you. There's so many different options, because like they say, write a letter and then burn it, because I don't want that energy in my home, house, room, wherever it might be. I do believe in that, but I think there comes a time where sometimes it's also might be worth keeping them to look, see how far you've come, if that's what you want. I do a Reiki symbol over it. I do the protection symbol. You can put some crystals on it, or you can then, I kept, or initially before I moved up to the hills from the city to live with my partner, I had kept all my journals, and they were written in black pen at the time. I don't know how many of them. And it just came, I'm moving, I don't need this energy. And I threw them all out.
Yeah.
But it was, I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to, because at that point there was not all this, we didn't have social media and all these things where we could get caught up in this. And I was ready. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And I've never regretted it, looked back, nothing. So I think, again, it's learning to listen. So again, it's coming back to, if we don't tune into our feelings, so our bodies often where they're held as well, how are you going to release them?
Yeah.
You know, how, and I realize now, because I was doing a lot of that mindset stuff, particularly around money, and I could never understand why others were having all this amazing success and that, and I wasn't. Well, because I didn't believe it. It was in my head. So there's only so much you can change your thoughts. But if you don't go into your body, do I believe that? Do I own it? Does it belong to me? It's not going to happen. So yes, it's so easy to get caught up in other people's stories, beliefs, authority.
Yep.
Rather than your own.
Very.
And that's
Very.
and that's what I'm finding with these conversations, and also the art that I'm creating. I'm just doing my own thing. And that's been incredibly freeing for me, you know, and like you've been showing me how you do it, is having fun, and having fun with the preparation, and not worrying about, in my case, outcomes. I'm just exploring. You know, that's incredibly freeing, because when you don't feel safe, when you don't understand yourself, when you have that sense of insecurity, I found when I really lost all that and didn't understand the person I'd become after the, car accident. Now I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh gosh. I was saying something really deep and meaningful.
That's how it goes sometimes.
That's how it goes. That's right. Oh, I know what it is. So thank you. Sometimes you've got to laugh and then own it and then comes back. What I realized was I had lost that wonderful adventurous side of me, the one that liked to get out there, step into the unknown, do things, trust whatever. When I look back, I think I've mentioned already a few times, and I just used to go to different countries, get in the car and drive on any side of the road, just do all these things that were I just did it, and things happened, Then I lost that. That just trust and belief in myself that I could do it.
Yeah.
So it's been wonderful exploring that and coming back. So now, I don't know about you, Rodine, but I know for me, I needed to feel not only safe in the world, but it came to me a while ago. I needed to also feel safe in my body, and my body needed to feel safe with me.
Yeah.
That I would listen to it, my body, when it said clearly, don't do it, no matter how logical it is, or, say, yes, care for yourself. It's not selfish. Yes, feel angry or deeply hurt, which happened recently. And it was interesting because it's a perfect example of what we're talking about. I was still giving myself platitudes. Oh, yes, the logic, and oh, yes, I'm all right with it. And perhaps it's all that. Again, when I think back now, this is only 10 days ago. And I was doing my lovely morning walk, a beautiful bush around here and all these trees. And it came to me very clearly. I'm hurt. I am deeply hurt by what happened. But I was trying to pretend I wasn't. So I'd gone into my logic, into my mindset and working it all there, but I wasn't allowing the body to catch up or admit it. And for me, so again, interesting if anyone has any thoughts on this new too, Rodine. So I realized what I was doing was I was still ruminating. I was still going round and round and round, having conversations, doing this, doing that, justifying it. Whereas once I admitted to myself, and then I did some tapping while I was walking and just said, I'm deeply hurt. I accept it, not just acknowledge it. I accept I'm deeply hurt. I'm not, it was amazing how it just opened up, poof, pretty much released.
Wow.
So that was a really powerful example of how easily we tune out of what's actually, because I didn't want to admit I was deeply hurt. That makes me feel vulnerable and open to judgment and open to being, hooked on. So, you put up these protection mechanisms and this facade. Oh, I'm okay, really. Like you said, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
When I wasn't at all. And that was incredibly freeing.
Well, I'm playing around with gold leaf.
Yeah, because I'm going to ask you, because look what I've gone and bought. Silver leaves.
Oh,
After you said,
nice.
and glitter.
Woo.
By the way, this has nothing really to do what we're talking about, but it has, because I'm looking forward to it. I did put a little bit of glitter on my art that I did yesterday. So I was going to ask you after we've had our chat how to use this. I'm quite excited. So again, this is sort of all part of the having fun, exploring, feeling free, and yes, I felt deeply hurt, but again, it's that irony. If you allow yourself to feel those really deep, uncomfortable feelings, you release them quicker.
Yes. And that is true. Burying them and pretending they don't exist is not healthy. That is a part of what then it keeps coming back up. Like you said, you were ruminating, right?
That's right. That's right. And I couldn't understand why I kept ruminating. So that was another interesting thing. So despite how much I've done, I couldn't understand why am I constantly thinking, oh, what should I say, not say? How am I going to say it? How are they going to respond? And blah, blah, blah. You don't realize how that exhausts, that keeps you in that loop. It keeps it in your body, keeps you feeling whatever it is you're feeling. In this case, for me, it was hurt. As you said, it's like, so how can we not go from bottom up, as my therapist said to me years ago? You've got to go bottom up, not head down. This is what they're realizing now. So mind therapy versus body, coming into the body. I mean, for me, I need both. And I just thought, wow, that's what's kept me all those years cycling and going round and round, that old tape. It was a really big realization for me that to own it. Own if you feel angry. So I not only felt deeply hurt, I also felt angry. Now, there's a lot of other things in there that were there that triggered things in me. And ironically, I allowed that behavior to upset me. They didn't know or care, but I made it about me, my hurt, my pain, my whatever. And then I was the one who was going to ruin my lovely Easter weekend. I laugh now, but I go, wow, that's the whole thing.
I know, right? I guess that's what they call the hanging on, right? You hang on to it. You end up in a repetitive loop or ruminating or regurgitating.
That's right.
All kinds of fun stories coming up and they're not real and they're not usually helpful.
No.
And yeah, in the end, the other person doesn't give a toot.
No, of course they don't. And all you're doing is exhausting yourself, and therefore you're keeping it alive. You're keeping that old story alive.
Yeah.
And then also what was interesting, then not long after that, I got a clear, and I always know if it's a clear message, very succinct, male voice, it's my late father. I got a clear message for him, I'm going to be all right. And part of the issue is, for those of you who don't know me, I don't have children. And I've always had this anxiety about my future when my my partner's a bit older than me, that when he dies, who will care for me, who will be around. I have this image that kids will be, but not necessarily. But that's been a big anxiety of mine. So I've clung to my family when I didn't, because I wanted that sense of belonging and to help me with my fear. But I realize now I was clinging on to something very tenuous anyhow. And really what it was saying, that I didn't trust in myself or the universe, higher power, God, whoever what you ever want to call that higher being. And my father just came to me, you're going to be fine. And it's interesting, this time I could hear it just went, my whole body went, and I haven't thought about it. Occasionally I haven't thought about it much. It's no longer dictating my life. I can now see pathway. It's really fascinating. Well, I find this sort of stuff fascinating.
Well, because you have shifted your perspective on it, right? Which means you get to look at it very differently.
That's right.
And as soon as you can do that, it takes away the power, the impact, the negative impact, and shifts it into definitely a more positive experience, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. And it's sort of each time you do that, each time you are able to do that, it creates a sense of inner strength, because that's why my psychologist does that. Now I do it with my clients. It's about inner strength. At the time, I didn't understand that. I always thought it was about confidence. And I heard it the other day, someone talking about they'd been through something. I know it was Rosie Batty. She's a woman who won an Order of Australia, through domestic violence and what she'd experienced. And she said that what has happened for her in the last 10 years was she gained an inner strength. And I went, there it is. Because when you have an inner strength, it's more than confidence. There's a strength to be able to say, no, yes, I'm all right. I am who I am. I'm safe. Then the confidence, then this can come back. So for me, I see it as a foundation, a solid foundation. Because you have the strength to go through things. You have the strength to embrace whatever happens. Because, we're all going to have things that happen to us, negative and positive. Because, again, coming back to this toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing, life is not all about happiness and everything's going to be all right.
Well, it's not about everything being, you don't walk around blissed out all the time.
No, that's right.
Right? You can be spiritually in tune and, but we're still humans. We're still in a human body having a human experience.
That's right.
So, yeah. So I just, it's very interesting. So now I'm thinking, next time I'm feeling really crappy and need to dump a bunch of stuff, it might be better to get it out and get it onto a canvas and then, I don't know, do something with the canvas after.
Yeah. Or the other one could be, I just had a thought, how with a lot of people, you do layer it might be, you layer it to shift the energy.
Yeah, I know artists that do that, right? Yep. Yeah.
So there's so many.
Layer it underneath and cover it up with beauty and a different energy. And
yeah. And we've talked about this before. I think you call it the fugly stage, because it could be that's that stage where you something negative and dark or ugly, you feel into something beautiful and exquisite. So there's that transformation in that moment. That transformation is happening. You've shifted the energy, you've shifted that. And it'd be interesting to see how then you feel in your body as well.
Yeah, it would be. It would be very interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening on the replay. We will be seeing you.
It was a good chat as always.
It was. Any topics you have, please let us know. And I will pop the links in Facebook under this to my YouTube about the toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing. And on YouTube, I will pop it in as links on the top where we've spoken about it. And yeah, thank you. And thank you, Rodine. I really enjoyed that. Each time I get these little nuggets, little things come through.
I know, right? I find after our Sunday art jams, I take that energy with me into the week. But there are little things that pop up for me then. So it's almost like even just through our conversations, I'm not conscious necessarily of things, but then little things just pop up and it's like, oh, that ties into that.
Yes. And I agree. It's lovely reflection till the next time. Yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.